Niles, Michigan is nicknamed the City of Four Flags because Fort St. Joseph was occupied by four nations during its history. You can learn more facts like this at the Niles History Center.
The Niles History Center is comprised of the Fort St. Joseph Museum, which is the building that we're in, and the Chapin Mansion, which is next door. And the Fort St. Joseph Museum was originally the carriage house for the Chapin Mansion. It was converted into a museum in the 1930s, and it's still here today, representing all of Niles history. The exhibits here cover everything from prehistory in Niles through the founding of Fort St. Joseph up until the founding of the modern industrial era.
Visitors can tour the Chapin Mansion and explore the History Center's interactive exhibits. Students can learn about the history of Niles through field trips both on and off site.
The thing is, people come to the History Center and they come to the Chapin Mansion, but they potentially think that's the end of the road. Actually, Niles History Center, they take you off of the property. I was actually just chaperoning one of our field trips with Brandywine School System, and we took them to the Ferry Street School. It is the first African-American school that was instituted here.
Well, we do several programs for a lot of different ages. A lot of those we partner next door with the Niles Library. One of our specialties is doing field trips for school groups and homeschool groups and scout groups as well.
Niles History Center has partnered with the city and the public library to offer educational opportunities for learners of all ages.
Luckily, the city has always been very concerned about the educational programming and the educational system. So through several different partnerships, just because we're trying to build a sense of pride and a sense of community, we've definitely partnered with the Niles History Center to do field trips and more educational programming about Niles history.
We offer a lecture series in conjunction with the library next door, and then a really exciting opportunity is actually part of our Fort St. Joseph archaeological project. Every year Western Michigan comes and they excavate that area for about 6 weeks. And for one of the weeks, they actually offer what they call a summer camp. And they offer it for adults and for lifelong learners. You can attend the camp and you work right alongside the archaeologists. There's also opportunities for high schoolers and middle schoolers to do that as well.
The History Center and the library have partnered together to do educational programming. So they'll do tours of the History Center and the mansion here, and then the kids will come over to the library and they'll hear a story based off of the time period or the topic that they did here and an activity.
This built-from-scratch replica of a fur trading post is just one of the upcoming interactive exhibits at the History Center. Soon visitors can touch the fur, view the prices of the fur back in the day, and even try on handmade winter wear.
But we find that adults actually like where you can touch and play and interact with some of the objects as well. So one of the examples is this fort trading post that we just added. We wanted to give people an idea of what it would have been like to be a resident of Fort St. Joseph, a trader coming to visit, and how those two cultures interacted and how that trading actually worked. So we put together this fort, and there's different animals that you can trade with, and we're adding in examples of some of the goods that were brought by the European nations as well. Some brass kettles, different cloth, wool blankets, and different items like that. You can barter, you can dress up like a French voyageur, you can look at a trade list of past items, and you can get a little idea of what it was like to live in this area during that French colonial time.
The history of Niles, Michigan is unique among other similarly sized American cities.
The history of Niles actually ties in with a lot of regional and national events. Things like the fur trade that was happening, that shaped the history really of North America. Things like Michigan was very important in the Civil War. It was very active, and Niles particularly in the Underground Railroad.
Niles has some things that a lot of other communities don't. We have the history aspect. We have a fort, which is one of the most historic forts that there were. We have a river that flows the wrong way. We have the St. Joe River, and one of the few rivers that flows northward.
The Niles History Center received a grant from the Berrien County Community Foundation, and the learning opportunities continue to grow.
In a perfect world, I'd like us to be so busy with tours that we have to hire more people, and I want people to think, well, I need a great free field trip. Well, the library and the History Center. I I don't want the teachers in this community to even have to think about it. I want them to just know that we're here.
We're trying to make an effort to be more inclusive and tell more histories of women, of minorities in the area. We actually just completed a project with the Michigan Humanities Council on African American history to do that. So we want to add more of those stories back in. I really believe that museums and libraries are a place where people come to see history that's not necessarily in textbooks. And so we want to make sure that we're including those stories as well.
I would like to see in the future for Niles to become a full-fledged arts and cultural district. Absolutely. I want it to be a place where people come here because it's in between a place that they may want to go, but I also want Niles to be more deliberate. I want people to come here not only because it's a stop on the road, but also to enjoy the history and to become a part of our history.